Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hello and welcome to our World Kindness Day celebration. Hello, Fuddy, Robin, Jeff, Nicole, Wilma, Sylvia, Julie, Eileen, Henriette, Henriette. I said that right, Henriette Torp, I beg your pardon. There's Raina and Stephanie. Oh, it's lovely to see you all. Welcome, welcome. As people are pouring in, I just want to offer you a big World Kindness hug. And please do pop in the chat where you're from, where you're calling in from to celebrate World Kindness Day, and how you're feeling. How are you feeling about joining us and celebrating World Kindness Day today? Jeff's from San Jose, California, very glamorous. So we've got London and Norway and San Francisco. Oh, happy to be back in the community too, Jeff. It's great to see you in your groovy background. And Delia's from France. Welcome, welcome. And Irit's from Israel, all the way from Israel. Amazing. And Sandra in Vancouver, Tracy in Yorkshire. Look at all these wonderful countries, wonderful people from around the world coming together to celebrate World Kindness Day. I'm so excited you are here. Masiko from Uganda, welcome. Eileen's from Canada, super to see you. Absolutely thrilled to see you. Henrietta from Denmark. Oh, wonderful, wonderful. It's really fantastic to have you here. We're so excited. We've been preparing this for a long time and we've got such an amazing event for you. So popping in the chat now, if you would be happy to, what's your internal weather like today? So you can use the metaphor. You can say it's a bit cloudy today, Kathryn, or actually there's rainbows everywhere. What's your internal weather like? So Aidan has worry and weary. Oh, bless you. Sunny and bright, calm, tired, blue skies, cloudy and windy. Sunshine. Oh, they're zooming in so fast. Calm and happy, and you love the rain. That's good. There's some stressed, tired people coming in, some confusion, some clouds, some hopefulness. That's lovely. And feeling calm, feeling worried, a little bit stressed, feeling a bit mixed. So I love doing this as our welcome touch base, our welcome for us all, because it reminds us, no matter where we are on the weather spectrum, that it's okay. It's okay. It really is okay. You are welcome just as you are. So please know if the sun's shining or if it's raining cats and dogs, you are welcome here. So as the more and more people are coming in, it's just wonderful to have you with us. I thought I'd just give you a brief outline of the session, because one of the most important things, this is why we love that the cameras are on. It's so lovely, lovely to see your faces, but you have permission to turn them off. That's fine too. But the reason we like to do it this way is to have this wonderful connection. It's to have this deeper, celebration. We're having a kindness party today. And it's very important for you to understand that today is your day. So whilst we have two extraordinary, incredible speakers, some wonderful, extraordinary teachers of kindness coming to join us today, this is actually about your experience of kindness and your reflection. So we will be inviting you to share your experience of what our wonderful guests will be sharing. and we'll have space. We've created space, so we're not going to rush. We'll have time for questions. We'll have time for reflection. We'll have time for interaction that we can pop on the chat and share what the insights were after our lovely guests have shared. So I'm absolutely delighted to, of course, welcome both Professor Robin Banerjee and Sharon Salzberg to our World Kindness Day event. They'll be joining us in a little moment, but before we go into that, just to explain, we will have a soft landing, a little meditation, just to help us all arrive. We're all in different parts of the planet, so some of you may be just getting up, and some of you may be climbing into bed soon. So we'll be at different parts of the day, and your energy may be different. So let's have a little soft landing together to help us arrive for our celebration. So if you'd like to join me, please do feel free to close your eyes or have a downward facing gaze. And we'll just start with a little moment to pause, to sigh, and to arrive. So you may like to place your hands over your heart, a friendly, kind gesture of welcome to your own precious self. Let's spend a moment tuning in to kindness. Maybe you can feel that effortless breath moving through your body. Such a kind experience when it's full of ease. Maybe feeling that gentle pressure, hand on heart. Welcoming the warmth from within. And if you need to, you can enjoy some deeper breaths to really help you arrive. Letting go of any challenges, maybe any rushing or busyness that has happened before this moment. And just rest here. Tuning your inner dial to kindness now. What does kindness really feel like for you? Maybe your mind is offering you a memory when someone was kind to you. Notice how that made you feel. Or perhaps you offered a gesture of kindness to a stranger or a loved one, and notice, what did that feel like? Giving yourself permission to soak in kindness. To enjoy a felt sense of This thing called kindness. And as you fill yourself up, and when you are feeling fully resourced, you may like to imagine offering this kindness outward. Those you love, family, friends, to those in your community. And of course, our World Kindness Day celebration friends, all around the world. So recognizing if you're offering this kindness, you too will be receiving it from someone around the world. So let this kindness touch your heart and warm you up. And so when you're ready, taking one more moment to breathe that in, and then offering yourself a lovely smile of welcome, maybe a wiggle and a stretch. And noticing how you're feeling now. Just that little moment, there's lots of love pouring in. You're welcome to put one word in the chat. How are you feeling now? Just a brief moment of kindness, of opening the door to kindness, feeling softer, blessed, love, relaxed, relieved, lighter, or grounded, grateful, much better, warmer heart, warm, more relaxed, open, connected, wonderful. Beautiful. Thank you so much for joining me. It's nice just to help ourselves arrive. I don't know about you, but I have a lot of excitement fluttering in my body for this wonderful event. So I'm going to hand over to Rachel. The lovely Rachel from the Global Compassion Coalition has this brilliant bit of technology for us. Now, all you need to do is answer this question. What does kindness mean to you? And you simply bring your camera to the QR code and it will come up as if by magic and you can type in your answers. And if that's too tricky, you're of course welcome to put it in the chat. We thought it would just be fun to have a little word cloud. What does kindness mean to you? What does kindness mean to you? Support, compassion, tenderness, connected. Isn't that amazing? I love this technology. Thank you for doing this. Understanding, acceptance, open-hearted, self-love, generosity, peace, genuine care. Look at those gorgeous words. Goodwill to all. A smile and a hug, civility, being gentle, open acceptance, tolerance. Kindness is essential for peace, compassion, and relationships. Sacrifice, peace, giving presents. Kindness, caring, hug from a friend, human goodness, benevolence, generosity. Isn't it magical? Doing unto others as you would want them to do unto you. Humanity. Deliberate, conscious friendliness. Oh, we've got some artists coming in as well. Thank you. Love. Patience. Good intentions. Absolutely gorgeous. Upliftment. Generosity. Grounded. Authentic. Connection from heart to heart. Agape. Beautiful. Thank you, Cassandra. Caring enough about others and our environment to keep our surroundings clean, safe, and healthy. Thank you, Jacob. I know you're doing amazing work in that field. Caring for a good friend or anyone that needs it in that moment. Consideration. Willingness to see another point of view. How beautiful. This is amazing. Thank you so much. Good intentions with gentleness, unconditional positive regard, empathy, intentional action, collaboration. Oh, notice how all of these words are making your whole body sing, how that impacts your heart. Being mindful, empathetic, humanity, intentional caring. Beautiful. All right. Thank you, my friends. We'll capture that. I don't know whether we can take a screenshot and capture some of those wonderful words. You know, you can always save the chat as well. That's saved for me now, so we can re-inspire and uplift ourselves. So, my friends, it's time for our very special guest. Thank you all for participating in that. I know that our first guest was keen to hear and see what you believed kindness was, because this man has done some extraordinary research into kindness. So let's welcome to our beautiful room, before I give a formal introduction, the amazing Professor Robin Banerjee. Welcome.
Oh, thank you so much. And
Welcome, welcome.
what an uplifting introduction to tonight's event. That was absolutely beautiful. And thank you all for the wonderful entries that you just gave on the Slido. What a wonderful way to celebrate World Kindness Day by just reminding us of all the beautiful things that kindness involves.
Oh, Robin, you're so right. And I'm thrilled to bits that you're here. Thank you so much for spending some time with us. We really, really appreciate it. As you can see, there's lots and lots of people. We had over 700 people sign up. So I know some people couldn't come live and they'll be watching the recording. So thank you for giving up your time for us. We really appreciate it.
Oh, it's always a pleasure, Kathryn. It's so lovely to see you again. So lovely to be speaking with you, and wonderful to have all of you here in the room, the virtual room, together, shining a light on the nature of kindness and its impact on people and communities. Something so simple, but something we so often don't take the moment to see. And I think what you've just done, just from that little moment, just even telling us what kindness means to us, I think we're seeing kindness. And that's really important, because in today's world, there's so much unkindness, so much horror, so much devastation, so much violence. And it's easy for us to see that because it's there every time we switch on the news. And of course, we need to pay attention to that, because those are real problems, real lives, real misery, real catastrophe. But you know what? Sometimes the things that unite us, that can bring us together, are the simple acts of kindness, and they are all around as well. So we really need to take the moment, even more than ever. We need to take those moments to notice the kindness. And that's what you're all doing right now. So it's really wonderful and uplifting to have this experience.
Thank you, Robin. Oh, I couldn't agree more. There's something so powerful about this shared celebration of of paying attention to this, I think, this gift that we have called kindness. And for those of you that have not met the wonderful Professor Robin Banerjee before, I would like to formally introduce him, even though we've dived straight in. Just so you know, we have an eminent professor in the room, and this is our living room. So this will be the last formal bit, I promise, and then we'll dive into some fireside chat. So Professor Robin Banerjee is Professor of Developmental Psychology and the inaugural Pro-Vice Chancellor for Global and Civic Engagement at the University of Sussex. Formerly head of School of Psychology, his research focuses on the social and emotional development of young people. And he works closely with practitioners and policymakers in the areas of education and mental health. You can see why I adore him. He founded the Sussex Centre for Research on Kindness, an interdisciplinary research centre focused on illuminating the nature of kindness. I want to say that again because it's my favourite line. Illuminating the nature of kindness and its impact on people and communities. So Professor Banerjee led, this is why he's such a celebrity, led the world's largest ever public science project, this research on kindness, the kindness test, in partnership with the BBC. You may be familiar with this. He might talk to us a little bit more about it. So as you can hear, we have a very knowledgeable human being. He's not just talking some fluffy stuff here. He's done his homework, and I cannot wait to hear a little bit more about what you've been discovering recently about kindness, Robin. So over to you, my friend. Let's start with something simple. You've seen what the audience has shared about what kindness means to them. What does kindness mean to you?
Kindness for me is all about connecting with each other. And to a certain extent, it's about connecting with ourselves. And I think what we did just now on the Slido was to connect with each other and to connect with ourselves. There's an intrapersonal dimension to it, which is about within ourselves. But there's also a really fundamental interpersonal dimension, which is about connection with other people, between people, as well as within a person as well. And I think there's something really profound about that sense of connection. And that's the theme I want to bring out. Kindness for me is like a glue that connects us. And sometimes we need to do it with ourselves because actually, in the busyness of everyday life, we don't often take the time that we need to just check in with ourselves. And I think what we were all doing just now is partly about checking in with ourselves and giving ourselves a bit of breathing space. So kindness to me is all about connecting people. It's connecting people with ourselves and connecting people with other people. And of course, you know, when you look at the research in this area, people define it in a very, very straightforward way, which I totally accept. Kindness, an act of kindness is an act of it's an act that's intended to benefit other people, right? That's a very straightforward definition. But I want you to really grasp that idea of intention, that purposefulness about it. And I'm not talking about big acts necessarily. These aren't necessarily huge acts of self-sacrifice and incredible noble gestures. I mean, you do get some of those as well, which are absolutely incredible. But the intention can sometimes be really, really tiny. It can just be about that moment of connection, which might be as simple as bringing someone a cup of tea or even just a smile, right? But it is a moment of connection. And that's what I want to bring out. And, you know, Kathryn, you mentioned the BBC Kindness Test, that big project that we did. That's what came through most strongly when we asked people about their experience of kindness. They talked about joy, they talked about positive mood, they talked about pride, but the thing that was rated most highly was feeling connected. That's what kindness does.
I love that. I love that it's the glue. I mean, isn't that just a lovely visual, a lovely metaphor, bringing us humans together.
Absolutely. And it's not just about being on the receiving end of it, right? This isn't just about saying, oh, I feel good when someone's being kind to me. We know that kindness is associated with positive experiences of well-being, emotional boosts, not just when you're receiving kindness, but when you're actually the giver of kindness. And I found that actually one of the early studies that I ran was with children and young people. And it was young people themselves, teenagers, 12, 13, 14 years old, right? They were telling that being kind is associated with well-being. It's like there's a kind of a well-being boost from being kind. And I want to go one stage further than that. In the BBC kindness test, we had data from over 60,000 people. One of the things we noticed was that that word, noticing, seeing kindness was associated with well-being as well. So being kind, receiving kindness, and even just seeing kindness, all three of those things were independently associated with higher levels of well-being. And I think that's really fascinating because noticing kindness isn't necessarily about having to spend a lot of money. It's not necessarily even about having to spend a lot of time. It's just about clocking it, noticing what's going on around you.
That kind gesture on the tube, someone
Absolutely.
getting off their seat in the bus, helping
Absolutely.
someone that's struggling with their shopping.
Absolutely. And you know what happens? I mean, each of those things that you've just described, Kathryn, what they do is, I think, they take us into a very different place for that moment. And hopefully
Mm,
it just builds and builds. It takes us into a place of shared humanity. And
mm,
that's what's happening, right? You're actually developing that sense of human connection, that we're connected with each other. We're recognizing each other as human beings. And I will be honest with you, when people talk about research on kindness and empathy and compassion, sometimes, and for good reason, they say, hey, there's a problem here because it's very, very easy for kindness, empathy, compassion to just reinforce social divisions. Now, that might sound counterintuitive, but there's a reason why they're saying that. They're saying that it reinforces that because it's easier to be kind, empathic, and compassionate to people who we like, to people who maybe are similar to us. And so, in doing so, you can end up inadvertently, without even any intention, you can end up, if you're not careful, reinforcing social divisions because it's true. It is easier to be kind and empathetic to people who we already like or people who we think are, they're kind of like us, similar to us. But don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Don't then say, okay, so kindness, empathy, and compassion isn't any good. Absolutely not, right? All the more reason why we emphasize kindness, empathy, and compassion. We just need to broaden out the boundaries and be purposeful about it and to be looking out for the opportunity to really think about people who might, at first glance, seem like they're different to us, who might,
mm.
at first glance, seem like, actually, I'm not sure if they're, in quotes, my kind of person, right? That's the particular context when we really need to double down on kindness, empathy, and compassion. And that's how we really grow a wave of kindness in the world. And what we found, in fact, was that it's that deliberate, purposeful exchange of perspectives, which is a fundamental feature in kindness. And you were asking Kathryn about research, other research that we've done. It's one of the things that we've done with children and young people. We've shown that perspective taking, having that empathy for other people and tuning into other people, especially recognizing that other people may be thinking in very different ways to us, that is a foundation. We've actually shown it empirically. That is a foundation for kindness. And you see that that perspective taking actually cultivates a more pro-social approach. And we've seen it as children get older. Teachers actually see the kindness in children when those children are tuning in empathically to people who have different perspectives to them. And so we need to be purposeful about that.
That is phenomenal. I mean, this excites me on so many levels. When I think back to the work I did in prison, and straight away that it's not necessarily, you wouldn't imagine it's a place for kindness. And there's definitely division and there's lots of protectiveness. There's lots of layers there. And I definitely witnessed it. And I witnessed it again and again. And how that then impacted the men that I was working with.
Absolutely.
And then that layer of perspective taking. How important is that now with everything that's going on for our young people to have that skill, to be introduced to, it's a skill, isn't it? To be introduced to that possibility. Oh, I can
Absolutely.
open my experience up.
Absolutely. And a large part of it is creating the conditions for people to do that. And that's
Mm,
something that is a collective exercise. It's a collective enterprise. It's not about fixing individuals. It's not about saying, oh, this person is not very good at taking perspectives. We need to teach them as an individual and plonk this new skill into that person. These skills are inherently relational. We
mm,
need to build them together. And that is true about connecting with ourselves. It's true about self-kindness as well. That's not just an individual achievement, it's a collective achievement. We all have to support each other to be kind to ourselves. And that's a really important, I think it's a really important discovery in the research as well. It's not that kindness is simply about focusing on other people. It's also checking in with ourselves, and we do that together, right? So the interpersonal and the intrapersonal, the between people and the within person, they come together.
This is phenomenal discovery because I certainly grew up in a culture where it was very much kindness is allowed to go that direction. It needs to give kindness to others. That's acceptable. Um, and I think there's a transition, there's more understanding, but there's still a lot of, well, it's a bit selfish if we're going to talk about self-kindness. Oh, it's a bit indulgent. There's still a lot of resistance so I'm really curious to hear that well, it makes sense that we need that collective support to say, actually, this is important. Obviously,
So
I'm passionate about this, but there's still so much resistance, certainly, I would say, in the culture I've grown up in. How do we melt that, Robin? That's a tough one.
it is a tough one. And again, it's down to us, right? It's what we have to agree on together. Um, I do think the point about shared humanity is important because that shared humanity includes ourselves. We have to
Mm,
recognize we're part of that journey as well.
mm,
And I do think that point about shared humanity is important, and it comes through in simple everyday acts. I really put a lot of emphasis on stories. I think conversations about stories are really important, and um, in terms of our latest research, we're doing a lot of work at the moment on reading books and stories. Children, this is again, we're working with children and young people, reading books and stories, and how that is a foundational basis for the development of empathy. Empathy isn't something that's just sort of fixed quantity inside us when we're born, right? There is a predisposition for human beings to be empathic. We are social creatures, but it's also cultivated in our life experience. And one of the ways it's cultivated is through conversations about stories. When children are reading books and they're creating images in their minds. And sometimes, of course, they're supported by the most beautiful illustrations that wonderful authors and illustrators are creating, right? They're actually conjuring up things in their minds about other people and themselves, and they are figuring stuff out. And this is happening, it's not happening in a kind of a extremely academic way, right? This is an intuitive process that children and young
mm.
people are going through, and frankly all of us as adults are going through all the time as well, where you are putting yourself into another world. And
Mm,
it's that combination of yourself in another world. And what you're doing there is you're fundamentally asking yourself, and I know this might sound like, really? Is this really what's going on when children are reading a book? I'm telling you, it is. It's just not done in a way. This is not about worksheets, right? This is not about a literacy lesson. This is
mm,
what's happening in a very natural, organic, intuitive way. When children are reading books, there is this incredible, powerful force which is developing about children entering into an exploration of who they are and who other people are and what this world is like. And they're figuring that out and they're coming up with new possibilities. And that idea of newness, I think, is really important. It's not just about their own life experience and their own story. It's about other, it goes back to what I was saying about perspective taking. It's about other people's stories. It's about encountering situations where you're really struggling to make sense of why a character did this, right? That's really,
yes.
really important. You're testing yourself, not in a negative way. You're testing yourself about humanity. And that's what builds that sense of shared humanity. Yes, we're all different from each other. Yes, we all have unique stories, and my story is different from your story, but we're both human. And it's that discovery which I think is at the found at the in a very foundational way is at the base of human trust, right? And it's
Mm,
that it goes back to that sense of connection again. And we've done a lot of work around that sense of trust, and trust and kindness go together as well, right? It's that basic idea that we can have a sense of trust in each other. And that's what's happening. The examples you gave, helping someone with their shopping, bringing someone a cup of tea, smiling at someone, holding the door for someone, right? What it's doing in those tiny little moments, it's building trust in people. And I think that's at the heart of kindness.
oh, Robin, it's just phenomenal. It comes back to that really fundamental, basic understanding. I'm thinking of a simple children's meditation, the me too.
Yeah,
Oh, me too,
yeah,
just like me.
yeah,
And
absolutely.
and to have that, oh, so we're from different parts of the world. This person, the story is based somewhere I've never been, and yet, just like
That's
me.
it. That's it. And I think that's the basis for compassion. That's where we get it from, right? That basically seeing the human being. And I've done work in lots of different contexts. I've done recently, we've just finished a project working in courtrooms. It's been absolutely fascinating working with senior barristers and judges. We've done work in business settings. We've done work in international aid. We've done work in education, the work that I do with children, right? And there's something really fundamental about seeing the human being. And you might be listening to me thinking, what do you mean seeing human being? Of course we're doing that. But you know what? So often in everyday life, especially in workplace contexts, we really don't. We don't see the human. We don't see each other.
Mm,
And this is what we have to create space for. And it's not necessarily about some big new act that we have to do. It's not some massive change in the system. It's just about giving ourselves the permission to see the human being. And that's true when we direct that glance inside us, right? It's about
mm.
seeing the human being inside us, and it's about the seeing the human being with the people around us as well. And the whole human being. That's the whole point, I think.
Yes, and I think there's something there about uh, when we take our barriers down, we let go of the projections and expectations of what we think that person is like because they look a particular way,
Yeah,
or um, they may. I'm going back to my men in prison. They may have a history, and you go, oh, and there's this all of these layers that our culture, impose upon us. And
exactly.
yet, I certainly experienced it, we would drop all of the story, drop into our hearts, and then there was that common humanity, that that shared understanding that actually everyone in this room is struggling. We'll have different stories.
100%. We have different stories, but there's a connection between us
Yes.
because we're human beings.
And I'm fascinated about the trust element, because I think that is, I think, one of our biggest issues in our global consciousness right now, that
Absolutely.
we don't even know if we can trust what we're seeing on the news.
Oh,
Supposedly, reputable news journalists. Is this really true? And that state of distrust is going to impact our interpersonal relationships and
absolutely. And it's a
all of
real
it.
worry, isn't it? Which means all the more reason to actually be having conversations with each other. I think that's really fundamental because it is going to be really difficult in the age of AI and social media. And we know there's a huge amount of misinformation, disinformation, whole range of things going on whereby people feel actually, what can I trust? Well, a key element is going to be to give ourselves the opportunity to connect with the people around us and to have those conversations. If everything is being mediated by things that we're being sort of effectively being fed,
Yes,
it's going to be really hard. And to be honest, it actually can create the problem that I was talking about earlier. It can really reinforce existing divisions because we're in our
divisions.
echo chambers and we're going to be fed the things that, we're instinctively
Algorithm.
looking for, right, through the algorithms. And we've got to give ourselves a space to have the connections with people like we're doing right now. Having these
Mm,
conversations is
mm,
absolutely fundamental. And I think when we do that, I think it creates an opportunity for change in the world. It creates an opportunity to see things being different, right? And then because you're with other people, you can also start to find the solutions together. Because it's like, it goes back to what I was saying before. The difficulties do not simply reside inside individual people's heads. Okay. It's not about fixing each individual. Don't, I often say this in my work. You described it before, Kathryn. I do a lot of work at the intersection of education and mental health. And so often, the way in which it's treated is incredibly individualistic. Our
yes,
approach is very much like, okay, which kids have got problems? What are we going to do to intervene with those kids? How do we actually fix the child, right? And my
yeah,
thinking is the problems are not necessarily inside the child, right? They don't reside inside the head of the child as if it's like a dispositional quality of the person. It's the network of relationships that we need to understand, right? Sometimes the answer isn't fix the child. Sometimes the answer is fix the environment, right?
yes, I totally agree.
Work with the network of relationships. Sometimes that's where the problem is, but also that's where the solution is. So when
Yes,
you're thinking about shared humanity, right? When you're thinking about those moments of kindness that are connecting us with each other, when you're thinking about conversations like what we're having, that's going to be the place where we find the solutions to the problems. Yes, there are horrific things which are unfolding in the world, but we actually have to come together to find solutions, and we have to be purposeful about taking up different perspectives, actually deliberate about trying to work through different perspectives that people may have. And it's there that we're going to find the solutions.
I love that so much, because we want to celebrate. We want to be able to embrace and celebrate everyone's difference, everything. Um,
100%. 100%. Today in World Kindness Day, I began the day, I did some media in the morning, and one of the journalists was asking me on the radio, what is the kind of key message for today that you'd want to give to the listeners? And I said, you know what? When people are feeling like stressed about having to do lots of things, I almost like I don't want to give people like another task. You've got to do this as well and find some time to do this act of kindness. I said, let's start with something simple, okay? That doesn't require any new action, any new thing that you have to fit into a very, very busy day. Let's start with that point that I made before. Notice the kindness around you,
mm,
celebrate it, share it, grow it, right? That's the ripple effect of kindness, right? Notice it inside yourself, notice it in the people that are immediately around you. Even when there's an awful lot of unkindness in your life, you will be able to find little moments of kindness. It might just be a smile from someone that you're passing. It might just be someone holding a door, and you might just think, oh, that's just someone being polite or someone being nice. But you know what? It's a moment that is building trust in shared humanity. And that's
Yeah.
profound. Even if it's a tiny, tiny, tiny moment, it's a profound piece of shared humanity. So notice it, celebrate it, and grow it.
Oh, Robin, thank you so, so much. I could listen to you all day, as you know.
Thank you.
I did promise the audience a question, and I know there's been lots pouring in and lots of wonderful interaction. Let me
Oh,
just see if I can find um, any question for you that's come in now. There's lots of interesting responding around
yes.
this. Um, Celebrating and sharing kindness is paramount. Eileen says, I wish your passion could be bottled. Me
Oh,
too.
that's so lovely. That's so lovely. Well, you know what? Just being here and talking with you, I think that's making the difference for me. It's uplifting to me as well. So thank you all for being here. I can see there's a really good question. This is um, Linda, I think. How does one counteract not being seen or being seen as detrimentally other? Can I answer that one, Kathryn, or can I try?
Give it a go. We've got 5 minutes.
5 minutes. All right. I'll try and do a very quick answer because I think that's an absolutely brilliant question. Because sometimes it feels like, well, what can I do when other people aren't seeing me? And I think the most powerful way is not necessarily to kind of start shouting and saying, okay, see me, see me, see me, because sometimes that's really hard. You can't control the other person's behavior. I would say the best way that we can respond to that is to see someone else, right? For us to see someone else and actually be that role model, be that change ourselves. And yeah, it's really hard because it might feel like, hang on a second, well, I'm kind of not being treated very well. So, what am I supposed to do about that? Well, the single best thing is going to be to actually demonstrate that kindness to other people as well, because that will grow. There'll be a ripple effect. And this is not me making this up, okay? There is research which shows that, pay it forward. That does actually happen. There
Yes.
is a ripple effect of kindness. It does take you into a new direction. And I would say, if you're experiencing that unkindness or being othered by other people, actually, one of the things that you can do is to demonstrate the kindness to others. Okay. Check in with yourself, but demonstrate the kindness where you do find it. Focus the attention on where you do find it and grow that, because that can become an incredibly powerful wave.
Yes, it's all about where we're placing our focus, isn't it? Because we could very easily just say, well, there's this and there's this and there's this, and we have justification and reason why we are going to now behave in a different way. But actually, if we turn towards love and kindness, Jacob's just
Yes.
put in the chat there, if we allow love to lead, kindness would be in abundance.
Beautiful. Beautiful. I love that.
Yeah. So, my friend, we are just absolutely, you can see everyone, there's been so much love pouring
Oh,
in for everything you've said. There's been so much insight. Will have to watch this recording and slow it down and take more notes. I couldn't write fast enough. As always, Robin, you are so full of incredible wisdom and heart. It's not just the head here. That's what I love about you. You are translating something that's fundamentally been researched and the science in it, but turning it back into our lived experience so that we can truly embody what you're discovering and how we do that. And I think that's what's really powerful about your work. It's lived real life, embracing our fully messy humanness,
yeah.
and focusing on the kindness, the joy, the connection that everything you've shared brings, when
Oh,
we
that's
pay
beautiful. Thank you.
attention
That
to
I've never heard my research described in such a lovely way. Thank you, Kathryn. It is it is what I'm trying to do, but honestly, it doesn't happen because of me. It happens because of everyone around me. It's because of you. I mean, I feel like you've unlocked something just in today's conversation, this evening's conversation, and all the comments coming through. Absolutely beautiful. So thank you so much, everyone. And yeah, keep spreading that joy of kindness. Keep shining that light, everyone. Thank you so
Oh,
much.
thank you so much,
Thank
Robin.
you.
We've got a
Lovely.
little competition all about you now.
Oh my
So,
goodness.
Kind Mind Academy are giving away kindness bands. We've got a little
Oh,
prize of a kindness band and the new Boost or Crush game from the Booster Way.
I love
And
that.
here's the question. Don't give anyone any hints, Robin.
Right.
The question is this. All you need to do, lovely audience, and thank you so much for all of your participation. The engagement's been incredible. Here's the question. If you'd like to win this little prize, which university is the Kindness Research Centre based in that Robin does his work? Is it, we've got an A, B, or C to make it easier. Is it A, the University of Surrey, B, the University of Sussex, or C, the University of Southampton? Now, our clever little workers, if you put the correct answer in, the kindness gnomes are going to, they've selected a secret number, and that person who arrives on that number will be receiving this prize. So we'll wait
Oh,
for a second, do a little drum roll, and then hopefully Rachel will be able to tell us who has won our first World Kindness Day celebration prize.
oh,
But thank you so much once again, Robin. I'm super
thank you.
excited. We've got
Thank you,
lots of
Catherine.
correct answers, so they've been listening, Robin.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. It's been an absolute joy to see you all. Thank you for all that you're doing every day to spread kindness in the world. Thank you. Thank you, Catherine.
Thanks, Robin. Take good care.
Bye-bye.
Really appreciate your time as always. Such a joy. Such a joy. So, my friends, well done, everyone. Lots of correct answers. I'm just noticing my plug has not worked. So I'm just trying to stay calm, but my power is going. So I might need some assistance with my plugs. I'm at a friend's house, so please bear with me. Rachel, have we got a winner?
Yes, we do. It is Grace. Well done,
Grace,
Grace.
Grace, congratulations, Grace. Give it up for Grace. Woohoo. I will send these in the post to you. You will be able to play the Boost or Crush game. It's a fantastic intergenerational game, bringing awareness to the whole family about what's going on inside. So massive congratulations, Grace. And I thought for the last 5 minutes before the wonderful Sharon Salzberg joins us, she's coming at the top of the hour, I thought it would be really lovely just to have a reflection moment. Because Robin he's very excitable, isn't he? Isn't he amazing? Let's just have a little reflection in the chat. What's your biggest takeaway for yourself? What insight will you take away from what he shared tonight? I've got so many notes. Look, I'm scribbling away there. So what are your key insights? There's gratitude pouring in. Thank you. Pleasure, Grace. Please communicate with Rachel to make sure that we've got your contact details so I can send it off to you. So what are the best ways to overcome some challenges faced for your kind? So that's a great question. I'm going to turn it back to you, Abuna. What I'd like you to consider is, with everything that Robin has shared with us, How would you overcome those challenges? So there's an interesting balance here. Abuna's talking about sacrifice and how do we balance that? It's a tricky one. Some people are using it to achieve their goals. Now, this is our 21st century life, isn't it? And I think it's actually human. It's really challenging. So what will you take away, Abuna? What will you take away from what Robin has shared with us? It's all about connection. So maybe the invitation, Abuna, is to consider, who are you connecting with? How can you uplift yourself? Remember, Robin said it needs to come from you. How can you then fill your own heart up with kindness so that you are resourced to share it? So that then perhaps that kindness flow comes more easily. So Sylvia, the name of the game is Boost or Crush. Boost or Crush. Super fun. I'll tell you more about it a bit later. I know everyone is very excited about Sharon Salzberg coming. She's going to be here in 3 minutes. I know they were just checking mics and things, but to answer your question, Anita, yes, we've got all the details. We've got everybody's links. So if Rachel, you could pop in the chat, Robin's Kindness Centre, some of those links. We'll put them all at the end as well. You'll be able to connect with his Kindness Centre at the University of Sussex. So Charlene's saying kindness to oneself, that's your takeaway. You're going to really focus on that. Very good. Seeing kindness also boosts well-being. I know when I first learned that, Julie, it blew my mind. It's like just noticing kindness. How powerful is that? And that will increase our well-being. Amazing. Linda says awareness of my effect on others at all times and intention to make a positive effect always. Well, always is a big ask, Linda, but I think to have that purposeful intention is wonderful. All right, drawing attention to kindness is powerful. Absolutely, Kate. So there's so many wonderful answers. Please forgive me for not reading them all out. I know everyone will be able to see them in the chat. Noticing, so important. Celebrating to grow kindness, connection. The need for connection is key for inner peace and kindness to grow inwardly and outwardly. I couldn't agree more. And this is why I do these events. This is why I'm so grateful to Rachel and the GCC team for opening the doors to these live events, because I feel more and more we're hearing this need for connection all the time. And now we've understood the science from Robin, we understand why. All right. Oh, I'm going to take a breath. I am going to try and work out what's happened to my power, because otherwise I might not be here for the rest of this call, which is a bit concerning. Maybe Liz can come and help me. This doesn't seem to be working. So I'm just going to sort that out. We've got 1 minute before we open the doors to lovely Sharon Salzberg. So just as I'm sorting that out, you might like to pop in the chat what action you will take to be kinder to yourself. Bear with me for 1 moment. There we go. Modern technology. There was a tiny button I hadn't pressed. All right, without further ado, I know everyone is very, very excited with our next very special guest. I am so delighted to welcome to our living room, our World Kindness Day celebration, the wonderful Sharon Salzberg. Hello, Sharon.
Hello. Did you have a power outage or something that I
Um,
missed?
well, I'm not in my home, so I'm in a friend's house. I've put the plug into a socket and assumed it was working, but there was another tiny button, and I saw my battery getting lower, so I was
Ah,
having a
dear.
panic. I'm so thrilled you're here. Thank you for taking the time, especially with, I know you'll have so much on. I can't wait to introduce your book in a moment, but I'll do the formal introduction and then we'll dive in with our chat in our kindness living room.
Sure.
So just in case you do not know all about Sharon, Sharon Salzberg is a meditation pioneer, world-renowned teacher, and New York Times best-selling author. She is among the first to bring mindfulness and loving kindness meditation to mainstream American culture. And please just take that in. It's just phenomenal. So this is over 50 years ago, inspiring generations of meditation teachers and wellness influencers around the globe. Sharon is a co-founder of the Insight Meditation Society in Barre, Massachusetts, and the author of not one, not two, but 14 books, including the New York Times bestseller, Real Happiness, now in its second edition, and her seminal work, Loving Kindness. Now, one of the biggest reasons I reached out to Sharon is, of course, because she is just about to launch her first children's book, Kind Carl, a little crocodile with big feelings, co-authored by Jason Gruhl. This is set for release in early December, so in a few weeks' time. And this will be through Shambhala Publications. So we'll be talking all about Kind Carl in a moment. But first, let me remind you also that Sharon has a podcast. If you've not listened to it, it is phenomenal. The Metta Hour. It's amassed over 8 million downloads and features interviews with thought leaders from the mindfulness movement and beyond. Sharon, it is such an honor to meet you. Welcome.
Well, thank you. And thank you for the invitation as well.
Well, we have so much to talk about, and trying to decide which questions to ask you was tough. But I think what would be sensible is, just in case, many people in our global community will, of course, know about your groundbreaking work on loving kindness, but some may be hearing about loving kindness for the first time. So before we talk about Kind Carl, can we create a little foundation for everybody? Could you share a little bit about what loving kindness is, what it really means, and why it's such a powerful practice for human well-being?
Sure. So in my own personal story, I went to India as part of a university program. That I left the States in 1970. I began meditating in January of 1971, so a good long time ago. And the first retreat that I did was led by S.N. Goenka of Burma, and it was really a mindfulness retreat, especially mindfulness of the body, the breath and the body. But right at the end, almost as a ceremonial way of saying goodbye, he did this other thing, which is called loving kindness meditation. It's very connected to mindfulness, but stylistically, it's its own methodology. And he did it, as I said, almost as a ceremonial way of saying goodbye. And I was so intrigued. I thought, what was that one? But I didn't really get to have formal, guided, structured instruction in it until years later in 1985. I went to Burma for 3 months and did a kind of immersive retreat. So loving kindness, that's the word metta that my podcast was named after, but with 2 T's, METTA. is really a way of, I sometimes describe it as moving out of a certain rut of attention, so that if, for example, at the end of the day, you have the habit of evaluating yourself, like, how did I do today? And if you have the habit of pretty well only remembering the mistakes you made and the ways you probably disappointed somebody else, things like that, to practice loving kindness is not to pretend you're perfect, but to also kind of open the channel of wishing yourself well, instead of going through the list of your faults one more time. We do it stylistically, often by silently repeating phrases like, may I be safe, be happy, be healthy. So it's like, it's almost like blessing, right? And you think about all the many beings we may encounter in our lives that we look through instead of looking at, not even because of bias or prejudice, but just indifference. The practice of loving kindness with people like that would be not to look through them, but in a way to look at them by offering them those same phrases, that way of paying attention, like, may you be safe, may you be happy, may you be healthy, and so on. So we move through these various categories. It's a practice of gift giving or offering, until we come to all beings everywhere, which doesn't, by the way, mean we like everybody. It actually doesn't mean we even like anybody. But there's a bone deep realization that we live in a world of connection, of interconnection, that's reality. And so, as alone as we might feel or separate, that's just a mental construct. That's a projection. The reality is we live in an interconnected universe. And so we practice loving kindness. Sometimes people feel a little squeamish about it, like they're going to force themselves to pretend to feel all this gooey, sentimental stuff. And it's not like that. It's really being willing to pay attention differently and see what happens.
That's so magical. It's beautiful to hear it directly from you, because there can be a resistance to loving kindness. There can be this sort of projection that it's a bit soft, it's a bit sentimental, it's a bit squishy. Could you share what you've learned about the true strength of loving kindness? What it actually truly gives us with practice?
Well, first of all, I'd say that the model that I was taught and that I teach is really that anything we do, anything we say, anything we hold back from doing or saying, because that's also a kind of action, has different component parts. One is the intention. It's the motivation behind our action. And that's something really only we can know. Other people may feel and actually be kind of sensitive to feel they can sort of suss out someone's intention, but actually only we can know. So if I were to pick up this, which is my phone, actually, it's in a case, and hand it to one of you, all anybody sees is my hand moving down, picking up an object and moving it forward. But why? You know, what's in my heart that's guiding or sparking the action? Maybe I'm offering it to you because I like you and I want you to have it. Or maybe I see you have this better looking case than I have. And I think, well, hey, you know, maybe I'll give you this and you'll give me that. Or maybe I don't like you. And I think this phone is going to go off like every 10 seconds and it's going to drive you crazy. But it's the same smile, right? It's the same gesture. It's just coming from a very different place. So we say that the deepening of qualities like loving kindness or compassion most powerfully affect that field of motivation. So it's not going to change necessarily what we do, it's going to change why we do it. And I say all that because people get very, very nervous about that as well. And I was just talking to somebody this morning who was very, very nervous about that. You know, like, if I were to cultivate loving kindness, I could only say yes. I'd have to lend them more money. I wouldn't take a stand with any clarity. I couldn't draw a boundary. But really, what we do, what we say, what we refrain from doing or saying is based on discernment, on wisdom, on mindfulness of context. But our heart space doesn't need to be governed by forces like hatred and fear and estrangement and so on. So that, I mean, that's such a big fear of people that we're going to get all squishy, not only internally, but in terms of behavior. And it's just not true. They say, and most of my meditation training was in the context of the Buddhist tradition. They say the Buddha taught loving kindness meditation, and he taught it as the antidote to fear. And that's the source. Well, that's one of the main sources of its power, is that energetically, it's actually the opposite of fear. We still might be strong and fierce and have a strong boundary, whatever we deem the moment to demand to the best of our insight. But we're not coming from a place of fear, which can be so chronic, right? That's one great source of strength. The other great source of strength, I sort of alluded to earlier, it's that it is an interconnected universe. And that when we participate in that knowledge, that's power, because it's the truth of things. Like my favorite thing going into an office or an organization to teach is to ask, how many other people need to be doing their job well for you to do your job well? Because we may feel like completely independent, but it's never quite that way. Or sometimes I ask that question, it doesn't really resonate with people. And I say, well, did you commute to work? Did you ever have a thought for the auto mechanic or the train engineer? And if you don't commute to work, you don't work outside the home, are you using technology in some way? What about that? That's the whole world. And sometimes that doesn't resonate with people. So then I say, did you eat today? And unless you grow all of your own food, there's lots of life involved in that, plate of beans ending up in front of you or something like that.
Yes.
Really, we live in an interconnected universe. That's how things are. And if we're totally divorced from that reality, it's a distortion. And so we suffer to get back in touch with that reality. Again, it's not sentimental or foolish. It is powerful because it's reflecting the truth of our lives.
It's really beautiful and really helpful, especially around that energy of fear. Because we seem to be fed fear all the time now. We're just in threat all the time. If we're not showing up as in a particular way, doing something in a particular way, looking a particular way, achieving, and it's just layer upon layer upon layer of threat. Never mind, we're not even touching the fear mongering that's going on in any of our media. And to know that we have an antidote, that we can actually tend to ourselves and what that's doing to our bodies, our nervous system, that we're in that chronic state. And this is why I'm seamlessly then moving to Kind Carl, because I love Kind Carl the crocodile. I'm totally in love with this. Everyone, you're going to love hearing about Kind Carl because he's snappy. He's really got a bit of a temper. And what I love about this book is that I don't know how you've done it, but you've encapsulated in a crocodile all of our humanness, our messy confusion, the fears, everything, and the sadness that this gorgeous little crocodile with very big feelings. And there's such a wonderful way of a spacious allowance. Oh yes, this is him. And he's noticing that this has consequences when he's snappy all the time. It's really beautiful. So lovely Joel's got a picture for us so everyone can see. This is lovely little Kind Carl. Can you tell us all about him? Because I could talk about it now because I'm such a big fan of his. What inspired you to write this book, Sharon? Let's start there and then we'll unravel this wonderful story.
Sure. Well, my first book was called Loving Kindness. It's about, it's almost a practice manual for that particular form of meditation. And it came out in 1995, published by Shambhala Publications. So they have recently started a line of children's books called Bala Kids. And they approached me and said, well, since they had published Loving Kindness, they said, would you like to write a children's book on loving kindness? And Jason has done several books for them. He's almost like an in-house author. And so they paired us up. I was very intrigued, and we came up with the idea of a crocodile named Carl, and watch his evolution from being very snappy, as you said, and also kind of sad, like he'd have thoughts like, I don't have any friends, which wasn't true, but it was like a mood overtaking him and things like that. And I showed a copy of the book to a friend who has a child who's about 10 years old, and I said, I don't want to insult him by implying that this is a book for him, full of pictures, but why don't you ask him how he thinks a younger child might relate to the book? And so she did, and he gave me a whole review, which was really sweet. And I asked him when the time comes, the book is coming out December 9th, if he'd post the review on Amazon. He said yes. But
Brilliant.
there's this part of the book where Carl is sort of beset by these thoughts. I have no friends, and crocodiles can't be kind, and things like that. And he takes these thoughts and he basically puts them in like clouds and has them float away, which is in a way what we do in mindfulness meditation, right? We recognize what we're feeling. We have the authenticity of the feeling, but we don't necessarily succumb and let it take over and define us. And we learn what we really want to let go of. And so the 10-year-old said, that was my favorite part, where he put those thoughts, those kind of thoughts, into the cloud and let them flow away. And then his face, the crocodile's face, not the kid's face, the crocodile's face becomes much kind of sweeter and softer as one experiences when we practice some loving kindness.
It's quite a big, I mean, it's beautifully done, just those thoughts just drifting off in those clouds, but actually it's a really profound concept. You mean I can actively choose those thoughts? I can choose something different. I thought they're just controlling me, and also that they've got to be true. I love how you've just very gently peeled that away. Oh, he's recognizing maybe they're not true, that nobody likes him. It's very, very elegantly done. I really love it. And I can see straight away, of course, how it's not just for kids.
I agree.
Yeah. So what would, let me see one of my questions. What would you say to someone that was struggling? Maybe they're being quite hard on themselves. Where could they begin? What did Carl do to make that shift?
Some of it is just creating, as we've been talking about, just enough space, not like an icy distance, but just enough space to the thoughts and feelings to see them for what they are, which are visitors. They're not necessarily innate, inherent to our being, the deepest place of us. It's not who we actually are, but they come and go based on conditions, for sure. I have a Tibetan meditation teacher who talking about his own feelings. It's a whole story about how he was afraid of heights, and he was confronted by needing to traverse like a kind of high bridge between two buildings and couldn't do it because he was so scared of heights. And he said that he tried to talk himself out of the feelings, didn't work. he kept watching other people, like groups of tourists even crossing the bridge, and you think, well, I'm only one person, like five, it's not collapsing under them. It didn't work. And then he had a kind of a perspective shift on his feelings, which were they're real, they're actually happening. You don't have to put yourself down for what you're feeling, but they're not true. They're real, but not true. They're actually happening, but it just as you described, it's like we can have some agency, not out of dislike of ourselves or what we're feeling, but sort of like been down this road before, and I think one of the interesting things about this whole day and everything you're doing is that it doesn't always appear to us that kindness or loving kindness is the better way. That if we had a choice, a lot of people are conditioned, we're brought up to think, well, real strength is like endless vengefulness or, something like that. And to
Yeah.
understand this is where real strength is. It's not weak is the essential step. And we only make that step, I think, when we've made the experiment. It's not because we're trying to be a perfect person or someone told us this is how we should live. It's because we've made the experiment and we see where happiness actually lies.
Yes, because it's interesting. Kind Carl, it's beautifully done how he makes that transition. He says, I'll experiment. That's really lovely. It's like, oh, well, I'll try this on for size. I'm not going to land, but I'll just see, because this snapping stuff isn't working for me.
Yeah.
And he knew it wasn't really his essence. I love that picture when he's looking in the mirror, he's snapping off, and actually there's a sadder, frock in the mirror. It's beautiful. So he's got this lovely experiment, and you see him trying it on for size, being kind, and then, oh, this feels nice. This is different. And I also love more than anything that he still allows himself to cry sometimes, to still feel those. It's not painting this rosy, I do this and therefore I'm now experiencing a saintly life. It's, yeah, I'm still experiencing this tough stuff. And I still experience the anger when I don't want to ruin the whole story, but when an incident happens in the art room. And I love that he can acknowledge that. It's really modeling such beautiful allowance of all of the feelings. And I can return. And sometimes I return to my blankie and have a little cry. I can be with what's here. And that lovely, back to Robin, Professor Robin Banerjee was talking about how powerful connection was. And we see it through Kind Carl once he's made that connection with himself. It's really wonderful. So,
Yeah, thank you. And I think connection is the most important word. Like the word, as I said, in the Pali language, the language of the original Buddhist text, is metta, metta. Usually translated as loving kindness. I've had translators and scholars say to me, well, stop being so cutesy, just say love. That's what you mean. But love, of course, is a very complicated concept, isn't it? What do we mean when we say love? The literal translation of the word metta is friendship, but I don't tend to use that because to me, friendship implies let's go to the movies together, let's have dinner together. And remember what I was saying before, that it's a heart space. It doesn't imply a necessary determined action, like we've got to spend time together. That's not necessarily true. Wisdom may say, that's not wise, that's not safe, who knows? But our hearts don't have to be embittered. And so the word I tend to use most commonly is connection. It's a profound sense of connection to ourselves and to others, and ultimately to all of life.
Because there is something powerful about this practice. I'd never come across it until I watched Sylvia Boorstein, on YouTube, and I stumbled. And I was like, what is this? And this wonderful extension, starting with ourselves. I teach self-compassion, so that really sat well with me. But then, can I expand it outward? Can you say something about the invitation of, can I offer this to someone that I am struggling with, that's difficult to be around? How do we navigate that?
Well, it's a very important question.
Mm.
And people ask often one form of it or another, like, why should I try to have loving kindness for someone who is trying to harm people like me, or, doesn't believe people like me should exist, or and I hear that question very often. I think it is the right question. I have two thoughts about it. One is, it first of all demands a very personal and direct exploration of, what do we mean by loving kindness? What do we mean by kindness? Because if it means acquiescence or submissiveness, or only being outer directed, not taking in compassion for oneself as well, then why? My comment is usually, why get up earlier in the morning to practice that? You don't need to do that. So really, it's up to oneself to really examine, what do I mean by kindness? What do I mean by loving kindness? Is it something I want to pursue or not? And it doesn't have to mean, it never means actually, except through our misperception, giving in, and, all that other side of things. And the other part is, I go back to the Buddha, saying he taught this as the antidote to fear. Because there's sometimes in my own life, there's a certain dynamic, a certain relationship. And I think, here, I'm supposed to be practicing loving kindness here too. And then I think, is this a dynamic where I would be ill-served by having less fear? And I've never come up with, it's a good idea to have more fear. In my very direct personal experience and my observation of so many people practicing loving kindness or kindness, is that it does reduce fear. It is the antidote. And so then I remember, well, this could be a really good thing for me to be less afraid in this dynamic. And so then I moved to pursue it.
Beautiful. Thank you. It's so helpful. I'm aware that the time is, I knew it would fly by, but I appreciate there are different questions in the chat. I'll just go for the shorter one. And Uli asks, how do you see the relationship of hope in times of hardship as compared to metta? Is it fostering longing versus fostering inner strength?
I think that's a great question. And if I ever do write another book, I think it's going to be something about that. So it's very much on my mind. So it was great to see it in the chat. Again, it's very hard with words, especially words in English, because in Asian languages, Pali, Sanskrit, often there are 2 or 3 words describing the same state, and we've got one. So we really have to look for the nuance. Hope, often, certainly in the Buddhist tradition, is really meaning attachment. It's like, I need things to work out this way or all is lost. And that's very tied in with fear. So they talk about hope, fear, hope, fear, hope, fear. But there's another kind of hope. They're not suggesting we should be hopeless in the way we use the word. There's another kind of hope. Sometimes we call it wise hope. I wrote a book called Faith. I called it Faith, not in a religious sense, but about just that, like wise hope. That's really, it's not knowing I know exactly how things are going to work out and they're going to be to my liking, but that I can have love and presence no matter what. So I will be okay, even if things are not okay. And there's a way of saying, and it's based on wisdom. Like, sometimes we do something toward the good, the best we can in a moment. You know, it's not earth-shattering, but it is our effort to do the good that's in front of us. And that's essential. Sometimes very often we don't get immediate gratification. You know, we would love it if it kind of fully flowered. You gave somebody a book, for example, and they said, that's the best book I've ever read in my life. I can't believe it, you know. But sometimes they just kind of nod their head and they walk away. But what I've discovered is that when we do that, we are planting a seed. We don't know how or when exactly it will unfold, it will flower, but we have to do that. And so that's the power of making that effort. And it's not hope in a superficial sense, but it's a profound sense of the universe unfolding, that we have to plant the seed or nothing will happen. And sometimes I feel like I've been really blessed because maybe I did that exact thing. I gave someone a book and they sort of nodded distantly and walked away. And sometimes years later, they may come up to me and say, you know, you gave me that book and it didn't really mean anything to me, but now I have all of these changes in my life and I picked up the book and it was perfect. So there you go. And someone is asking, I'm an obsessed chat reader, you can tell. Is loving kindness a practice of generosity? Yes, that's exactly what it is. It's a practice of generosity of the spirit.
And kind Carl does have that. You can see the shift in him. It's really lovely, although he does clean his mum's teeth, which I thought was very, very sweet indeed. So I know that we need to draw this to a close, but I would like to, as this year's World Kindness Day theme is about being a catalyst for kindness, through the lens of loving kindness, through kind Carl, maybe even himself. What would you say to us, that all of us that have that desire, that intention? How do we take that first step to be that kindness catalyst?
I think it's a lot of what I was just saying, that we do the good that's in front of us.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes it seems so small, given the degree of suffering or the system that might seem intractable, we're trying to change or whatever, but just we do what's apparent, you know, we thank somebody. We appreciate them. I was listening in on this conversation between a businessman and somebody, a psychologist, who was talking about kind of changing a culture of a business, and which is a hard task. And the businessman said, well, how do you do that? And he said, I appreciate people. You know, I make a point, if a customer says, oh, I had a great time with the front desk person, they really helped me, I go to the front desk person and said, hey, I got some feedback about you. You really help people. And, you know, and I thought, it seems so small, but it's so important if you're really trying to have an impact.
And that one appreciation comment at a time can change a whole culture in that sort of environment. Yeah, I agree. I would have loved a little bit more of it when I was a teacher. Yes. Well, Sharon, I know that you have many more people to share your wonderful message with. I just want to say a very big thank you on behalf of this beautiful World Kindness Day celebration group. There's lots of love pouring in for you and gratitude for everything you've done over the last 50 odd years now, and that you continue to do. And I personally, I'm a big lover of sowing this seed. That was going to be one of my questions, sowing the seeds young so that we can really grow strong roots for our young people, so that they can live with a loving, kind lens in their life. So I'm so grateful that you've created something for children. I feel that's very, very important. Massive thanks. Very, very good wishes for Kind Carl. I know it's going to be a bestseller, and I look forward to seeing how Kind Carl gets on, and many blessings for all the work that you continue to do. Thank you so much.
Thank you, and thank you all.
There's lots of waves and love coming through. And we've got a little competition. So here's the test. Let's see if, oh, I don't know whether did I actually share about Kind Carl? I don't know whether I planned to say, what does Kind Carl like doing? Well, it's a multiple choice. So you can guess, everyone. So you can put in the chat A, B, or C. A, does Kind Carl like cleaning his teeth? B, eating cake. Eileen's already mentioned that. That's quite funny. Or C, combing his hair. Have a guess, because we've got another prize. We've got Kindness Band gift set from me and the Boost or Crush game. You've got lots of fun cards to play with. Let's see what the guessing is. And once again, Rachel has got a special number in her head, and the person of that number who gets the correct answer will be our prize winner for this little competition. I was going to talk all about Kind Carl and do a little intro specifically, but we had so much to talk about, Sharon.
Yes,
So
we ran out of time.
So would you like to tell everyone what the answer is?
Oh, it's a lot of C. You know, he likes to comb his hair.
It's really good. He's got about 4 strands of hair and he likes to comb them. It's really funny. So congratulations to all the C's, and we'll find out. Rachel will be doing some magic numbers and we'll announce the winner in a moment. But we'll let Sharon go. We're going to have a little reflection to see what their insights were, their takeaways from what you've shared, because there's been so much richness here. You're obviously welcome to stay. But
I do need to go.
yes, you best love and leave you. Please send some extra love to Sharon one last time before we go.
Thank you.
Thanks so much, Sharon. Take good care.
Goodbye.
Bye for now. Wow, how are you all feeling? Wasn't she amazing? Just when we thought Robin couldn't get any better, and we've got the lovely Sharon. Absolutely incredible. Absolutely wonderful. So Uli says, always amazing. How are you feeling? What are your takeaways? What's your insights? Both speakers were excellent. They really are refreshing as always. Sharon's so down to earth, isn't she? And that's what you'll love her book. It's so wonderful. Marilyn says, I'm full of loving kindness now. There's something, Uli's saying, metta is transformative. There's something that's contagious now, isn't there? That this wonderful sense of connection and sharing. Oh, bless you, Sylvia. Thank you. Thank you so much. Yes, antidote to fear. That's a big one for me. You know, driven by fear deep inside our psyches. What if we simply practice loving kindness? Yeah, really, really good. Any other takeaways? What other, through metta practices, being kind to myself, and then time to get out of my comfort zone and connect. Well, you haven't got a name on there. iPhone, I agree with you. Come out of your comfort zone. Come and join any of the compassion cafes that I do. Come and speak to more people. It's really powerful. Such a gentle nudge and reminder. It's okay to be kind, says Ilya. Beautiful. And Sharon is so real. I love her willingness to express vulnerability. She really is amazing. Unity for togetherness. Aborna, beautiful. Love Sharon. She's so skillfully and warmly grounding. Very, very helpful. Kat says, me too. Antidote to fear. And Sarah, starting with the good that is in front of us. That is definitely one of my takeaways. Thank you for reminding us, Sarah. Our own inner critic can be in front of us. I'm going to talk to you about that in a moment. Do the kindness in front of me. Julie was touched by that as well. Absolutely wonderful. Marilyn's full of loving kindness. Fear is a liar, Richard, says Richard. So then it's not true. These critical thoughts aren't true. And we can use wisdom to understand them. Wise hope is a deep seed for the universe. Beautiful. Loving kindness does not mean not having boundaries or saying yes to everything. Yes, it was very powerful when she talked about that, wasn't it? You know, you don't have to acquiesce. Actually, I can stand tall, and you know, there's a difference. Yeah, really good. Anita, in answer to your question, university, it's Sussex University, University of Sussex. That's where Robin hangs out, all right? Through meta practices, being kind to myself, and then time to get out of my comfort zone. Oh, these seem to be repeating. I've read that. Sorry, everyone. Oh, my pleasure, Charlene. Linda says, I realize that my lived experience is full of kind interactions and thoughtful people. I only feel fear and alarm when I look at news reports or social media. Beautiful. Oh, lovely Galia is here. So much kindness in one place. It is contagious. Thank you so much, Kathryn, for your love and compassion. Well, bless you for being here, Galia. What a treat. Galia is calling in from Israel. And Cassandra, always room for new possibilities. Don't have to get stuck in the ruts. Oh, that was good, wasn't it, Cassandra? Those thought ruts that we go, I call them that broken record. We get stuck in them. Really good. I loved being reminded that emotions and moods are transitory. Yes, we can pop them on a cloud, off they go. And fierce compassion allows us to be loving while maintaining values and preserving justice. Wonderful. All right, well, let's have a pause for a moment. Let's take a lovely deep breath. And maybe honor yourself for staying and connecting and learning and opening to all these wonderful possibilities. We've got another opportunity. I think Rachel's got a really fantastic magic cloud thingy again. Can you tell I'm I'm overcome by excitement.
And also, Kathryn, just to note that we have to announce our winner of the second competition,
yes,
who is Rainbow Lone Star. So well done, Rainbow Lone Star.
Oh, Rainbow, fantastic, congratulations. Please make sure you send the details to Rachel. And this kindness, we have these wonderful, it's a little gift set, and these bracelets we created them to remind ourselves what's the kindest thing I can do for myself right now. So we'll send that to you with the Boost or Crushed game. And I know some of you have been asking about this. Just in case you don't know about the Boost Away, I brought my friends with me. This is Crusher, and this is my critical voice, the character critical voice, and this is Booster, our compassionate voice. And these are two little cuddle buddies. He's waving. And these are the characters that are in this Boost or Crush game. And we've got a response. So here we go. We've got just a simple matching game, and we've got the opportunity to see I could respond like Crusher, my mean voice. So what's happened here? I didn't get picked for the team. Painful. And then Crusher says, Grizzledy plop. I don't know why I bothered. I'm so useless. So that real mean inner voice come out here, but we find the antidote, which is Booster's voice. And it's the same situation. You still didn't get picked for the team, which is what I loved about Sharon. She really shows us that actually difficulty happens. But this time it's Zippity-zow. I am sad. I did try hard. Maybe next time. So there's a compassionate response. So that's the game that our two winners will be getting. It's an intergenerational game that will allow the whole family to start having these conversations. And both Robin and Sharon have said how important this connection is. So I'm really, it's wonderful to hear these wise speakers that have got so much experience and knowledge demonstrating that something as simple as a game and having those conversations can change a trajectory of a child's thinking. And the reading of books, wasn't that amazing from Robin? Reading books and going into those new perspectives of different characters. So I'm hoping Boost or Crush will do the same. So let me just check the chat. I've got one more lovely celebration for you. I've got all these notes and I'm overcome with so much joy and excitement. Thank goodness Rachel's here to keep weighting me down back to with all my balloons of joy, and she's holding me to the earth. So what we're going to close with, and I really do thank you all so much for coming, for being part of this experience. It's been absolutely magical to prepare this for you and to share the importance of World Kindness Day, to share the importance of kindness for ourselves and for each other. But what I'd really like to do is close with a couple of songs. And I had the pleasure of meeting these extraordinary young people from what's known as a LEAP school in South Africa when I went to the Compassion Festival. And I also met the gentleman that created this educational outreach program. It started in 1990. His name is John Gilmore. And he had this vision to service under-resourced communities so that every child, irrespective of their background, would succeed if given access to quality education. And he's created these amazing schools. I think there's 7 now in very challenged areas, marginalized communities around South Africa. And this amazing group of children came and performed for us. And lovely Joel has lined up 2 songs back to back. I wanted you to get this, the different feel. The second one is my favorite. And this they did right at the end of a series of different songs. And I think it epitomizes what happens when resilience sings. And they're learning their worth and that they have a new awareness so they can be kind to themselves and that strength to go forward. So shall we close with those songs? And a big thank you to everyone. Obviously, we've popped all the resources. Susan's saying it's a resource for other books for children. I know there's some amazing books out there. One of my lovely friends, Wendy's done an amazing book, Wendy O'Leary. We might see if we can put some suggestions together in a follow-up email for you, Susan. And of course, there's The Voices in My Head, which is my children's book, which I highly recommend, but I'm a little bit biased. And an opportunity to contact, get in touch with any of the inspiration that's happened today with Robin or Sharon, and start practicing, and me, of course, and the GCC. There's lots of opportunities to really start developing your self-compassion practice, your self-kindness practice, and be that spark. So before we have our song, have we got our Be a Spark question?
Yes, just give me 5 seconds.
So
Can
this
you
is our
see? Yeah.
This is our final coming together. Amazing. The technology is so clever. So Rachel's got this special device again up. Just take a photo and connect. And the question is, what action will you take to be a catalyst for kindness going forward?
And just to note, you can also just go to slido.com and type in that 3443112.
She's such a tech whiz, this Rachel. Thank you, Rachel. So
Thank you.
We've got people typing. Of course, if that technology is a bit too much, you're welcome to pop in the chat. Oh, thank you, Rainbow. I'm so happy you won. That's so great. How are you going to be a catalyst for kindness, my friend? And remember, both Robin and Sharon said it doesn't have to be a big, dramatic thing. Oh, and lovely Eileen. Eileen's an amazing author as well. She says she has a list of books on her website, eileenbeltzner.com. Have a look. She's done some wonderful books for children and families too. So here we go. How are you going to be a catalyst for kindness? Listen carefully to my children. Beautiful. A little bit more self-awareness. Practice metta. Give a smile while walking. How lovely. Check in on people more often. Remember that kindness is the antidote to fear. Beautiful. Start with the kindness in front of me. Validate others. Smile and say hello to those I don't know. Remember what Robin was saying about that division. That's a perfect way to melt that division. Hug often, starting with yourself. Go and hug a friend at the end of this call. I love that. Lots of hugs coming in. Kindness spotting. Smiling more. Chatting with strangers that I meet. We're just friends that we haven't met before, that's all. Kindness with self and then going outward. Invite a friend to an event that I go to. Come to the Compassion Cafe. I open the doors to the Compassion Cafe. I volunteer for the Global Compassion Coalition every 2 weeks, different time zones to try and to include everyone. Come and have a chat with us. That would be lovely. A short prayer for someone afar. Gorgeous. Complimenting people when I recognize goodness in them. Understanding people's views and always being happy. Having the intention to forgive myself. Beautiful. Slow down and be present. Really see and pay attention to whomever I'm with. That was powerful, wasn't it? Really seeing them when Sharon was talking about that. Truly seeing them. Thank you, Christina. Beautiful. Wonderful. All right. Well, we've got 5 minutes left. Please do keep reflecting, popping in the chat into this magic device. But let's, whilst that's happening, let's close with these wonderful young people that truly, please turn the sound up if you can, because the passion, the power in the room when these young people sang together was phenomenal. So thank you all so much for coming. I really hope you have enjoyed it. Do please let us know, and let's close with these wonderful young people. Thank you, Joel.
Okay, so just give me a thumbs up if you can hear the audio.
Weren't they absolutely amazing? That is my favorite song at the end. I turn it up in the car and I listen to it loud. They're absolutely phenomenal. So, my friends, we come to the completion of our World Kindness Day 2025 celebration. We couldn't have done it without you. Thank you for your really wonderfully engaged participation. Thank you for your great questions, and I apologize we didn't get to all of them. Thank you for sharing your thoughts, your inspiration, and your love. I know together we can make a difference. Small acts of kindness, be that catalyst for kindness. It really will make a difference to our planet. So sending you much love. Please know that I'd love to see you at our Global Compassion Coalition Compassion Cafes. It's all free. It's this, but for 1 hour, and we come together and we connect and we explore compassion in a little bit more intimate way. But that connection, I'm reinforced with my belief that this makes such a difference. So take very good care of yourself. Until next time, go gently, my friends. Lots of love. Please feel free to unmute if that's possible. And yes, send kisses. Thanks, Wilma. Lots of love.
Bye,
Happy
everyone.
World
Thank
Kindness
you.
Day.
Thank you, Kathryn.
Thanks so much. Take care, everyone.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Lots of love. Bye for now.
Thank you.
Bye all.
Bye, Linda. Thanks, Vada. Bye for now.
Thank you
Bye.
so much.
Oh, it's
Thank
such a
you.
pleasure. Namaste.